All right. And we're live.
Yeah, we're doing it. That's it. Hi, Chris.
Hey there, Harmony.
Yeah, a road trip while it's still light out. The
Oh,
five
that's
o'clock
nice.
show, right? Yeah.
Don't forget your sunglasses.
Oh, I know. Well, I think they're in your car seat still, or at least their memory is there. I'm
You
never
might
going
be
to live
sitting on
that
them.
down.
Yeah, yeah, it may be sitting on
Yep. Yeah.
them.
Well, let me check. No. But are you sitting on your cat? That is the question. I
No,
mean,
she's outside. She's actually enjoying the sun quite nicely out there right now. But no, I have to be careful for that. I've kind of since I've had cats my whole life, and particularly this one for the past 11 years, I'm very careful that I don't ever just like
land on her.
wham like that. I'm always every time I'm doing it, like she knows it's coming, like it's fire in the hole when I come down. So she's got a minute, but I always like because I have done that where I kind of like feel a little stuff cushion. I'm like,
What?
that's not a pillow.
That one's moving. Yeah,
Yeah,
wait.
exactly.
Oh God. Yeah. Animals are animals. What was your cat's name again? I posted it in the notes and I've already forgot. So I know.
It's everybody does. I don't. Yeah, everybody does. Just it's not a intuitive name unless if you're a Chronicles of Riddick fan, but it's Ziza,
Ziza,
Ziza.
which I
Yeah,
like.
Ziza.
Ziza.
I had a cat previously named Miju, and then another one before that named Deja. I don't know what I'm thinking, but I always want something that sounds like a little like exotic, like, oh, this is my cat Frank. No, it's Frajuya or something like that. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But
It's so you.
yeah. But this
Well, as I
one's
get to know you, I mean, there's parts of you I have no clue about, which is sort of cool because then we can just like dive in forever.
yeah.
Right? Isn't that how we get to know people? I was thinking my cat, when I was a kid, we had a Siamese called Suki. My mom named it. That was a cute
Oh,
kitty.
I like that
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. So we're on the road trip to Fairfax, episode 11. Ding, 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 ding. And so here we are. So if you're here on YouTube Live,
Mhm.
not on Facebook live stream, I tried to mess with that, and I realized this morning I woke up kind of panicked, like, wait, I can't really Facebook Live from the same camera that I'm live Zooming that's going to YouTube. So don't try this at home. I'm sure there's a way. People do all three, but yeah, I created a Facebook Live event thinking I could just weave that in and give people the easy route in. And I didn't actually cancel it. What I did was I wrote in it, if you arrived here and you want to go live, here's the YouTube link, is what I did.
We're learning.
Oh man, there's a lot to it. Yeah, I won't even, I guess I go into slight detail about, is that yours or mine?
That
Was
was a
that?
that was a that was a crow. I
Oh, that
got
was a
crows.
crow. Because I
Yeah,
have those,
they're
their crows are, we have urban crows now. Have you
yeah.
noticed? They really are the birds,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock movie. Here they come and then they congregate and then they all fly over Oakland at a certain time. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's that's out there. I won't talk about tech because that's not what this show is about. Just know that I sweated bullets twice this morning for tech for hours trying to get the show to happen. Yay me! I think it's
Mhm.
working. I never know till we're done. Ta-da! All right. So, to get on track and on target, I had said that we were gonna kind of follow up last week's podcast where we kind of were hanging still with some of the protocols or the etiquette or that type of thing when we're dancing in a public freestyle dance or either a physical space or on a Zoom space where we're trying to, you know, we're trying to, what are we trying to do? We're trying to show up in a way that brings us forward and includes other people and allows for connection and uh, follows whatever kind of usually unspoken guidelines. I mean, for sure we know on a ecstatic dance there's supposed to be no talking. That's one of the guidelines. But we talked about a little bit about talking in a Zoom space and sort of messed with that. Um, I actually did some work this morning, kind of trying to find on my computer, another tech nightmare, but trying to find notes. I've written a lot about this kind of thing and tried to gather those things. And I found a couple of things and then wrote a bunch in the last hour and a half or sort of polished some of my writings. Because I don't know if you realize, but in all my dancing, like since I started, dancing for me has been a way for me to learn how to keep my nervous system calm while I'm in social space with other humans. Because I had apparently some real traumas around how to be really here and present and feel safe in my body, On the screen, not so much, but yeah, even that, but certainly in person. And I think that's one of the reasons for me, I learned how to do that without making eye contact, really, with the touch from contact dance. Like, let me just listen to you physically so I don't have to confront the eye to eye space, which can be very intimate and I guess triggers, whatever relational stuff is there. In my case, I think I was afraid of showing up and being seen because I got sort of rejected for expressing in my family, And so I would get nervous every time I'm about to be engaged with someone, conversationally even. And so for me, the dance has been this place where I've started to go, oh, how do people do this? And how does it feel safe? And how do I approach? Or how do I like to be approached? And at what point is touch okay? Or, how do I listen to my body starting to get nervous about it? And do I respond to that? And how do I? And is it from me or from them? And just there's a lot of social cueing that we learn sort of by osmosis when we grow up, based on how our families were, and then ongoing in school, and then in work, and in these other social settings, and including our deep, even romantic and family relationships, the ones we create. So just that is a kind of a preface to how really intrigued I have been by this entire subject area. And yeah. So I'm a geek. I think I'm a bit geeky with it, but I'll try not. Yeah. Try not to geek you out. But the thing I thought we'd start with was Joel's question. Unless you wanted to, I didn't know if we wanted to cycle back to the talking piece. I think, no, I'm already in this momentum. So we'll just go into Joel's question. And I think you have maybe one more whiteboard question we may get to that I don't think you have mentioned to me yet, but we'll see if that shows at the end. And then I want to save a little time at the end today too, for you to let us know what's happening in the Bay Area, at least that you're aware of some of the dances that you know about, because you're so good about keeping people in the loop. That's a whole other chapter in terms of the meetup group that you took over. I don't mean it in a bad way, but took over. Thank you that you took it over, because it was way too much for me. So yeah, let me just take a look here. Joel was asking about how we use body language, because we're on a nonverbal dance space, and we're nonverbal in Zoom too. Once we kind of enter the dance, right, we're not talking to each other, and they're pretty different spaces. But I think if I can dance around it to relate the two, how the stuff that we can use in a physical dance space can inform how we use the virtual dance space also. Okay, so let me just take a look and see what I was working on here. I'm covering your face with a document. How fun on a computer. Yeah. Yeah. I think I might start with just talking about, for me, there is no real contacting another on the dance floor unless I'm completely connected to myself. So step one is, where's my energy? Am I contained enough? Am I aware of myself enough? Am I sufficient unto myself so that I don't actually need, and like not chasing after a connection, but coming from a place of offering or inviting it? So I call that well, let me just back up a second. I kind of see that there's three sort of phases on the map, or steps or stages. And the first one I call reach in. That's my kind of terminology. So my awareness and my attention is going inside. And I'm checking my own mental, emotional, physical state, and finding myself. And in the sense of music, if it's a music playing out, and I'm using music rather than a contact dance, which is more touch-based, then I'm finding the music. I'm finding my relationship with the music. And so I'm responding to the music. That's my first partner, is me and the music and what's happening there. So internally connected, my focus is inward. I'm holding space for myself. I'm not really into the environment yet at all. I mean, my eyes could be closed, or at least my sense of myself is kind of in this tiny bubble. And I guess I would say if it's a virtual space, that could even be done before I ever look at the screen. So the music's coming up and I might be anywhere, but my attention isn't in on the screen on other people or what's happening on the screen yet.
Right.
So the next place that I can get to, if I can fully manage that, is what I call reach out. Okay, so now that's where my attention starts to, like, my eyes may softly open if they're closed, but I'm not looking. I'm more like receiving my environment. So now I'm including what's in the environment. If I'm in my own home, it might be the colors, the lights, it's the space of the room, the furniture, this kind of thing. Orienting to that space, like, oh yeah, I'm in a room and so forth. And I'm still at the very center of that. And so it's almost like my environment now is holding me. So I'm kind of holding myself, but now the environment, I'm in the center of my world, of my existence, which basically I maintain through the whole process. But that's the next layer of it. And then what I call the third stage is relate. So now at this point, I'm actively, not only do I see the room, I can actually bring my eyes to the screen, see the screen, and I'm actively starting to engage. I might actually really focus and look at something. Maybe it's somebody moving, or maybe it's something hanging on my wall, or it's a bird flew by the window or something like that. And I've got some interest and some curiosity about what I'm seeing. So I'm like, here's like a new element. Not just me, not just my room, not just the music, but something else that I can relate to. Yeah. And that's where, there's this attention thing. Where is my attention? Is it in? Is it out? Does it dance back and forth between the two? And I'm cultivating what I call at this point, if it's a dance with the screen or people, since I'm a real relational person, what I call relational space. And so that's where you're in my space. We're included. We're together. I'm not in my own little world like nobody else, is there. Which is a way you can do a dance. I'm not saying that's bad. You could go to a whole big dance and kind of like just almost never notice other people are there and just dance with the music. That's totally a thing. You got that. Yeah. Yeah. But for me, there's a way to kind of cultivate the relational space. And it's the way that I approach engaging with another person. And it's really attentionally focused. I can hold my attention on someone else, but not lose my attention on myself. So, I'm getting it, and then I see you and I'm still getting it, but I'm also including you and letting you see me get it and also seeing what you're getting. It's kind of like that. And so I don't lose that. And that allows me to be fully getting it, you getting it, and we see how the interaction, what parts of that do we hear as relational communication and conversation almost without words, right? Where we're like, yeah. So that's how I see, the the flow. And then, of course, I can move kind of back and forth and diagonally between any of those. So I could be really connected with you, and then maybe at some point I'm like, oh, I'm going to draw back in and do my own space here. Yeah, either say goodbye to you, or if it's on screen, I might, on screen or in person. If we've had a dance, I generally really want to let you know that I enjoyed the time we had together and the focus we had. So I'll do some kind of gesture or like hold your attention with my eye contact with you and just like let you know, like, that was so good. So you can feel the shift of my attention leaving. Yeah. And I think that's really considerate if we understand that, because it's otherwise our nervous systems are built. They expect relational, and when someone's attention leaves unexpectedly, we didn't know it's leaving, our nervous system immediately feels abandoned, and we go into like a little bit of fight flight. So that's beyond our power to have control over. That's exactly what happens. And so it's like, oh, what, was it me? Was it you? All that stuff happens where we're just a little bit thrown off center. So that's a kind of a, it's a practice though, especially because I do see that even on a dance floor where I think everyone's really like pretty enlightened, not so much. People are doing all kinds of stuff on the dance floor, in and out of their traumas and their relational comfortability or discomfort or whatever's going on there. There's a lot of unique, different sensitivities and windows of welcome that people have for connecting or not connecting, or having someone's attention on them or not, or whatnot, right? So that's what we come into and run into.
It's a lot different than, say, being in the club, just somebody coming up like this, like, hey, what's up, kind of thing. I don't know. I just kind of, when I hear you describing all of that, like a couple things run through my mind. First of all, wow, that's incredibly detailed. I almost feel like I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum where I don't even, I mean, I kind of want to adopt some of those practices, even if I don't like fully get into the contact dance, because I feel like I can really benefit from that. And you kind of like triggered a couple of like memories in the past where I kind of got into a contact dance. Granted, I was asked, but I wasn't really like into it or prepared for it. And I could tell like when we started to, like, my mind started to wander because I just was still on another thought. And that person like immediately just bounced, and it's cool. It was a friendish, maybe a little bit more, but I could tell at that point I just totally killed it, and I felt bad. I felt like I hurt the other person, and I was like, God darn, I wish I could kind of do that over again. But the other part to that too is you also kind of like help answer my own personal wonderment as far as like how you get to connect with people so quickly. And I'll even talk about the road trips out to Fairfax, where, me, I like to kick it in the back, where it's a small community church. All the pews are removed, and it's very well lit, but it's also dimly lit, but you've got a good view of the floor. Like you can really see the whole place. And I remember doing that when we get there and we kind of get settled in, and like the moment you go out on the dance floor, and it's you're already ready at that point, but the moment you go out there, and I'm just like, how does she connect with people so quickly on that, And but it is, I think a lot of that is just the amount of thought process that you're putting into it, but also too, it seems like you have a very grounded framework around that, about like, okay, number one, you can't help others if you don't help yourself first. So I'm going to put that oxygen mask on first.
Yes.
Breathe.
Yes.
And now let's dance with the person over here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, thank you for that, because it has been years of learning, cultivating, developing. I could always move to the music, right? I mean, that was the minute I walked into a music space, I'm like, oh, I can do this. This has always been good for me. But what happens in the interpersonal dynamic, and then contact is another layer, because it doesn't even have the music. That's just touch to touch, and then super sensitive, like, ooh, there's so much sort of subtle cueing just straight through the body, right? How much pressure, how to stay with someone. I have these two kind of modes that I talk about when we're two people together. It's a little bit like talking and listening, partnering. You have, I'm speaking and then you're listening. So I'm radiating something and you're receiving it. Those are like the two sides of the polarities. And in dance, in social dance, these are perfectly fine terms, leading and following. But for me, they don't really name what's going on. For me, and I've never really liked them because they confuse me. I like going, which is I'm getting it. And then there's going with. So it's like a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit like if I want to meet you, Chris, I could walk up to you and I could sort of make a little bit of eye contact and see that if you're open or not, right? You might be busy or not, and just like, hey, I'm kind of curious about you. Where do you live? Ask you a question about yourself, basically, right? And I'm just sitting with how hard that has been for me in my life to even realize that that's the way to meet someone. Rather than going like, hey, do you want to know what I did today? And then just talk, like that just is not what people want. I don't even know you. Why are you telling me about yourself? But people will respond if you give them your attention and then listen and take them in. So you say, hey, I want to meet you. Why don't you go and I'll go with you. I'll go on that little ride with you, right? And so that is, to me, it's a really, really basic thing actually on the dance floor. And I wrote this down. Maybe I'll use it as a little bit of a cheat sheet because I just kind of moved into this next piece. Let's see if I have it here. Where did I put it? Yeah, I just kind of wrote that. So Joel, who's one of my dancers at my little dance break, and a rather new dancer, and he's an older guy, so he hasn't been dancing for years and years. He's learning and wanting to learn, which I love. And he wants to know, okay, so I would just say some pieces of, we talk about a little bit in Pam's dance about mirroring, right? You see someone and if you mirror them, like you do what they're doing, well, think about it. That is kind of like seeing somebody. If I say I'm hot and you say you're hot, you kind of mirrored me. You kind of like caught what I was saying and handed it back to me. Mirroring to me is a little too tight because that can bring us into like doing exactly what somebody's doing. And our bodies get taxed doing that. For one thing, it's hard. So I like to think of these three different kind of ways that we can relate to somebody and sort of meet them. And that's facing, spacing, and pacing. So facing is sort of how close you come into someone's contact, and you kind of are being letting them know in a way that you are giving attention, but you're not in their face. It's kind of maybe the wrong word even as I think about it. Spacing is how far are you? So it's really hard from across the room to let someone know that you're like responding to their dance because you're so far away. So how close you come in, and that's one of the things we can do on the dance floors. We can come in and see what the person we're moving toward does. And part of this, of course, for me is always a little bit of eye contact. So I'm coming in, but I'm looking, and this is what humans do for cues for safety in someone's face. Look for, do they look away? Do they turn their head away? Do they turn around and go the other side of the room? These are all pretty clear cues that someone is not comfortable with us coming close to them. Let's call it that. And then pacing is more, what is the energy somebody's dancing in? Is someone moving like slow and fluid? Or are they jagged and fast, right? There's just these ways that people are moving, and even in the same music, people can be moving entirely different ways. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm going to offer to listen to somebody, tell me about yourself on the dance floor, not with words, conversation, but, I want to meet you, then what I want to do is, no matter what energy I'm in, first of all, I'm often attracted by someone that's in my same energy. That's an easy kiss, right? But if not, then I might be attracted by something else. And then I will watch them in a way that my own body will start to find how whatever pace their body is doing, whatever it's doing. Now, I'm not trying to mimic it, but it's almost like whatever emotional energy they're feeling that's coming out through their body in a certain way is kind of where I'm trying to get inside their skin in a way, like, what are they feeling right now? And I can't do it direct, I can't just go from this to this, but I just sort of we have these mirror neurons, and when we look at somebody, our bodies actually start to feel what their body is doing. That's what we have as mammals and as human beings. And so I kind of let that happen. My intention is, I'm curious, I'm not trying to become them in this effortful way, but I'm just that's it, and when I find I feel like I got them in some way, and that's the energy, that's when I'll come in closer. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's a way for me to meet someone, really. Here you are. I'm thinking of something someone once said to me. I was at Harbin Hot Springs in one of their outside dances. And for special reasons, that was an especially difficult place to connect with people. And I think part of it is it's clothing optional. There's so much intimate space that people are kind of guarded. They're like,
oh yeah,
I'm not letting anybody in close because who knows what that means, and I've been naked around, whatever it is, right? Yeah. So, here I've been in ecstatic dance, and it's getting easier and easier for me. And I go to Harbin, I'm going what is going on here? I am not able to even make eye contact with anyone. And we had our clothes on. This wasn't a naked dance, but still, you can get naked in the pools and stuff. And so I remember distinctly just sort of giving up about all right. And then there was some woman that, I don't know, I just let go, and I started to find her dance with my dance without even thinking about it. This is this way. And at some point she looked at me and I looked at her, and then we started dancing. We danced together for 10 or 15 minutes, really enjoying, and she really enjoyed me being there.
Wow.
And at the end, she said, "Oh, you're such an amazing dancer." And I thought, yeah, because I was dancing your dance, She, it really was. She loved my dance style. And why would she? Because it was her dance style, right? She felt really seen. Mm-hmm. So that's the gift we can give when we really listen and kind of reflect back to someone. And I just say that with a caveat, because it cannot be done by losing ourselves. We cannot, enmesh with somebody. It doesn't work. So I have to keep my own center and know, as long as it's working for me, I'm here. And if it doesn't, I can go, and I can leave at any time. And, so that I'm not a victim or trapped or in any way, I don't know, diminishing myself or my needs by giving my attention in that way. And then I'll just say this is what I look for on the dance floor once I've done that is, are they able to give their attention to me? And that's not always the case. I'm reminded of what someone told me about a young boy who had moved around a lot as a child. And even at 5 years old, he knew how to make friends and how to play with other kids. And the way he did it was he would come up to a child and say, "Hey, I'm your friend. You can trust me. Would you like to play?" And then what would you like to play? Like giving them the option to choose the game. So this is a similar, it's like, I'm your friend, you can trust me. What are you dancing? Let's dance your dance. Let's do that. And I'll play with you. I'll go with you in your dance. So that's my superpower, is knowing how to do that. And then it's tricky depending on who I'm with, but at some point that does not sustain me, because I want the reciprocal back. I want us to see each other, and ideally we're just flowing it back and forth so fast we're both going with. We're both going and we're both going with, and it's just it's dancing us in that sense, as so I could go into it, I guess I won't here, but then I have a whole sort of way that I gradually see if they'll follow me, like little other things outside of how they're dancing, and just do a little and see if they catch it. If they don't catch it, then I go back to what they're doing, and I just kind of move into that in this sort of titrating way. And for the most part, people can do it. They have the capacity in their body and knows how to do it, right? It's just sort of feeling safe and realizing it's okay to play this game, and this isn't, I'm not gonna fall in love with them or go to bed with them, or like there isn't any bigger thing at stake. I just want to play. Let's just play.
Right.
So that's so then ultimately it's this very much mutual dynamic that's happening back and forth. Both people are having it and giving it and receiving it and having it and giving it, and then when these two energies are intertwining, it's just like, whoa, it becomes amazing. It's so nourishing and energizing for both of us, And I won't go into trios and quartets and roomful, but I could go there. That's another whole other layer. I'll stop and let you see if you have anything you want to say into that before I.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Maybe a thing or two. I don't know.
Oh, really?
That's what I was doing. I mean, yeah, I'm like, you know what? I got to write some stuff down here. So
that's okay. I have notes. And... Go ahead.
Well, it was something, because there are just so many layers to that, to just what I would think in my naive mind is a simple dance, but. One of the things that really resonated with me is something you said called cues for safety. And that's something that for anybody who is listening to this and trying to figure out what the heck ecstatic dance is, even if you are an ecstatic dance regular, I think that's a huge takeaway right there, as far as, am I doing the right thing? Am I, and when I say cues for safety, it's not like you're watching the dance floor to not trip over a kid or somebody's bag on the side or whatever like that, but cues of safety for you to proceed as you are for whatever it is that you're doing. Because even after that whole walkthrough of the layers of complexity between facing and spacing and
pacing, you got
pacing.
it.
Yeah. Facing, pacing, and spacing, right? Like that.
Yes, you got it.
Is that then you share that story of Harbin Hot Springs and that 10 to 15 minute dance that you had, where what I perceived was a moment where you decided to kind of not let all of that go. It wasn't like you let that go, but it's like you stopped thinking about it for a minute, and then bam, somehow you made this connection with this dancer, and then you were totally into it. Yeah. So kind of the reason I go there is that for maybe some of the listeners, it could be like, wow, that's just a little too difficult for contact dance. Forget that.
Yeah.
Do you think sometimes you might be overthinking it, or that might be overthinking it, or it's getting a little overcomplicated? Or what would you recommend for others that let's say I'm like, Harmony, that's way too much. Can you boil me down and teach me how you did that 10 to 15 minute dance at Harbin Hot Springs?
Yeah. I would say, first of all, the Harbin Hot Springs dance, as I remember back on it, was kind of an aha moment for me. If I really just find that person and dance their dance, look what happened. They had a great time, and I found a dance partner that way. That was kind of the beginning for me. oh, who are you? You know, when you sit down in conversation and you ask the other person first and then listen, that was kind of that really kind of a turning point for
Mhm.
me. Um, really, at the simplest level, if there is a simple level, because it really isn't about thinking. All this has come after experience for me when I've gone like, what happened, right? How did
Mm.
that work? Not like, oh, this is the rule book. I'm going to go practice it now. It
Ah,
wasn't. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So it's way more detail and specifics. It's more like, oh, let me just go try dance with people. And then God, I can't, I don't, Harmony, what did you say about that thing? Could you give me a tip? Right? Because I was like, don't try to carry what I'm saying with you and to go do it because it arrives through, for me anyway, usually for not getting something and going, how can I get what I need? Right. And then experimenting and having many like confusing or moments that it works and it doesn't work, and then I start to see the patterns that work, and this is what
Hmm.
you're seeing is 30 years of pattern mapping after the fact of experimenting, I guess would say. So your question was, what would I say? Well, I would say first one, have a good time, like enjoy yourself. That's number one. If you're not enjoying yourself, if there's a moment of am I doing it right, or do they like me, or whatever happens, usually it's up in the head, right? We go like, am I okay? Oh no, threat. uh you know just simply drop that if you can, and I actually, most of us can't drop that. So we go back to step one, which is go internal, feel the rhythm of the beat, get in touch with your own body, and rebalance your nervous system. Because the minute we're like, oh, it's hard, I'm not okay, then that's the primary objective is, oh, I'm okay, right? Wait, oh yeah, rhythm, music. Oh yeah, I'm here to dance. It's like all that other stuff is just noise, really, and mental confusion, really, mental interference. So then we talked about the cues, and I think the cues are both, I think we have basic mammalian cues, unless we've gotten really mixed up, which some of us have. And we can still misread cues even with those basic cues, that the way our brains and our lower brains operate. And we really, our brains as mammals, we want to be able to be open socially and connecting. And yet, if we get a threat signal, we go back into this lizard sort of fight flight place.
Hmm.
And that, so the next thing is, how do I find self-soothing to let go of the fight flight? Because the mind can't get us out of that. The body gets us out of that. Paying attention to, oh, I'm just going to take some deep breaths and just focus in. Oh, music. How's my body feel on the ground? Where are my limbs in space? Anything that brings attention into our own self, our own body, not our own mental activity.
Hmm.
So if you're having fun, you're probably on the right track. Uh, and, you know, be curious and experimental, and not self-judgmental, and don't expect to know how to do this, because it is a learning that happens through experience. And then I guess I could say, I'll just name some of these kind of uh, basic things that I look for connection, and then sort of what to avoid. So we'll do that. And then that might, hopefully, will make you feel, not make you feel, but give you an idea of some, it won't be quite so vague, but also not so tight that you're overthinking it. Let's call it that.
Already gave me one. I mean, out of a huge conversation like this, I feel that even if you take away, and this is just the proverbial you, but
Yeah.
even if you take away just one thing, one valuable thing that sticks with you, that like you lock it up here, that you don't have to like keep checking back down, then I think
Have
that you've
fun.
made progress. Yeah,
Yeah.
have fun. And for me, then, well, I mean, definitely, I like the have fun part. I got that one locked down tight.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but for me, in just approaching other people, cues for safety.
Yeah.
and thinking about that in the right, kind of right perspective, not just for cues for safety, but for me, but cues for, hey, I feel safe with you approaching me closer within my
Right.
face.
Right. So you're
Space.
giving cues and receiving cues. That's what we're doing all the
Right.
time in a social
Right.
situation. So,
Okay.
obviously, if you come close to someone and they turn away from you, that's a cue, right? I mean, we know what that means, right? I mean, um, so if they move away, you come close and then off they go. All right, that's another cue, right?
Yeah.
If you actually find that you get somebody's eye contact and attention, and then their attention is totally somewhere else, that's a cue. They're not with
Yeah.
you right then. It doesn't mean they're rejecting you, but they're not with you right then. That's a moment where, you either go, okay, not fun anymore, I'm leaving too. Or some of the things I do at my advanced level is I'll go, well, we'll see if they come back. I'm going to stay and see if they'll realize I'm still here. Or, and if they don't, okay, never mind. On to the next person. Or,
Tenacity. I like it.
right.
Yeah.
And if someone smiles, of course, and they make eye contact, those are like yeses, right? So those are some basic ones. And then we have this sort of added one we've added to the freestyle dance that became a meme, sort of is, this namaste, which to me personally is very confusing because it means, I see the God in you. It's like a greeting of hello. Or it could be, but somehow the dance community is like, no, thank you is what it means. If someone bows to you and looks at you in the eye and does that. Yet I use that all often at the end of the dance, like, thank you for the dance. So that one, if right when you meet someone, they give you this, it's probably a no if they're in the ecstatic dance community, but who knows for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, those are some simple, but, worth kind of noting. Here's what to avoid. Okay. I thought about this, kind of came for me also. You don't want to bring a really strong dance right into somebody's space that's a stronger dance than theirs. You just don't, because it overpowers them and it feels, overbearing, and it actually feels scary for someone if it's big like that. And you come in like, look at me, I'm doing all this fancy stuff, right? So instead you want to attune to them. If you're going to come in, you want to they're doing this and you're doing this. You want to kind of get to the place where you're both doing something similar and feel into that. And don't come closer until as that starts to really gel. And don't think too hard on that. All right. So you don't want to come in too big. You don't want to come in too fast either. Don't close that space right away. Because again, wait, where'd you come from? Wait, I was just dancing and now here you are, And one way to do that is to kind of come in slowly, but kind of come in side by side. You've talked about this before. You can dance in a circle side by side even, but you're kind of every once in a while you turn your head toward the person. You're not just in their face. And you do that slowly and see, are they moving away? Do they give you eye contact? Are they smiling a little? Are they talking to their friend and, whatever, something different. Touch. I'll add touch because that's as far as I got with my notes, but still in contact improv, it's the main way that you greet someone, although you can come in, all these things apply. You come in close, maybe move on the floor sort of like they're moving, you sort of move a little closer. My teaching, my learning has taught me that I almost never, unless I totally know you and we've danced a million times together and I know you trust me and we're both in a good mood and whatever, I may reach towards you, but I do not close the gap and touch you. So if I want to dance with you, I might even freestyle. Let's say we've been dancing a while. I might put my hand out and it's cupped this way. It's not, this is one thing like this. And then you might just do all kinds of funny things with the hand if you don't even know what I'm doing. I'm actually asking, can we touch? That's what that is for me. But I'll wait until you find my touch rather than me bridging it and finding you. And that's giving the other person it's fully their consent. They're the one that says, okay, I'll try that, rather than, hey, I'm touching you now, do you like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that was more of a primer, like I gave a little lecture.
Yeah. That got a little heavy at the end there. I was trying to keep that part short and sweet because it's 5:40. Well, it's 5:46
I
Pacific Daylight Time right
know.
now. And
Oh,
as
oh.
promised, I wanted to make sure I ran down
I know,
the
we're going
events that
to.
happened this weekend.
Let's just take a breath because I do apologize. I got carried away. Well, not really. I'm actually very, very happy to have a venue where I can share this and to share it. I often have taught this on the dance floor, but it's in pieces and it takes a while. And this way I just kind of ran through the stuff. So if anybody wants to refer to it or, hit me up for more information or this, or yeah, just know that I'm become kind of an expert in the field. And you're right, we're at 45 minutes. Why don't we just go 5 minutes over? And why don't you talk about what's happening this weekend for the dance scene in the Bay Area, since I let people know that you might do that. And I would really like to know what's happening this weekend in the Bay Area. Are you settled enough to speak?
Am I settled? Am I settled?
Oh.
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. I'm not gonna try to blaze too quickly here. Well, and the
Good.
ironic part here is I'm not here this weekend. I'm gonna be down
Oh, in LA.
LA
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Gabriel
Yeah.
Francisco's set out on Venice Beach. So I'm gonna hit on LA real quick. So LA's
Oh,
got
yeah. Let's.
down there. I think they're all on Venice Beach. I'll have to do the homework on that, but I noticed that a Magica Ohm was just spinning down there. So Gabriel's not just a special event. They're now doing beach dances. It looks pretty hot. So I'm going to check it out for the first time and I'll report back with full details. But
Awesome.
anyway, if you are down in LA, it's Venice Beach Sunday, 4 p.m. As
Okay.
far as what else is going on is, as we know, Saturday is usually the weekly Saturday thing that Gabriel hosts at Golden Gate Park. I think it's still kind of undetermined what's going to be happening going forward. Saturday is not happening this week just from the standpoint that he's going to be down in LA. However, my guess is that if the weather's nice, then everybody's just going to show up and there's going to be music playing. And sometimes there are other DJs playing there. The other thing I didn't check is I didn't check in with Jesse to
Yeah.
see if he's going to be doing his set. I'm
Mhm.
hopefully is, but for anybody who wants to find out and confirm, I can do my best to try to like validate and see what's going on. But if you're in the area, I would say just get on down to Hellman Hollow. Get there earlier. The earlier the better for the parking situation. And the other thing I hear too is that there's actually closing circles now that they're doing after the Jesse sets.
So we get the community piece happening
You
with
get the
some,
community piece,
yeah.
which I feel is really important to announce. I haven't personally been there, but I've talked to people who said it's pretty awesome. So
Nice.
sure people are aware of that. I don't know the timing on it, so these information will unfold as I continue to learn more. The other one is if you're in the East Bay, there's Dance the Change, which is headed up by DJ Boogie Meister. I think you said his name's Adrian.
Adrian, yeah.
Adrian. And that's at 1 p.m. Oh, the Saturday thing is usually from 1 to 3. Jesse would usually go on after that. So that's the other part. I don't know if that's going to be earlier or not. But the Dance to Change is at 1 p.m. And right now that's currently also on Saturdays, but I think you were telling me they're planning on moving it
mid-month. I think they're going to move it to Sundays.
to
It's
Sundays.
also it's at Snow Park, right on the edge of Lake Merritt, and it does 1 to 2:30 is one DJ, and then they shift, and from 2:30 to 4 they do a second DJ. It's been fairly well attended. We had a big birthday there on Sunday or Saturday, last Saturday, and so there was probably 40 people. Yeah, so having kind of a social birthday and the dance, and it went really well. Yeah,
I'm happy to hear that.
DJ Vesica played the first set too, so yeah, she's a buddy.
Oh, yeah, she's amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, and then one last one, and then I'll wrap it up. If you're familiar with where the Church of Eight Wheels is, this is back in San Francisco. If you're familiar where the Church of Eight Wheels is, up on Fell and Fillmore, right next door is a community center called the Center SF. And I guess apparently now they're having DJs on a regular basis on Sundays. So this coming Sunday, Maya Light will be on the decks. And that starts, it looks like at 11, yeah, at 11 a.m. So it's a little, these are all at different times on the day, but this one starts at 11 a.m. The one thing I will disclaimer about that is it's both outdoor patio as well as indoor. If you've never been to the center, it's pretty amazing, and they've got incredible cacao. So you got to try yourself some of their cacao.
Yeah.
Golden, the combination of golden mint would be my recommendation. And then
golden,
like I said,
what? That was too fast.
golden, and then mint. So golden cacao
okay.
and mint cacao. I'm kind of
All
learning.
right.
I'm not a cacao expert. I'm just acting like I am.
Golden probably has turmeric in it, and mint obviously probably has mint in
My
it.
guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Probably not
Like
basil.
mint ice cream, mint chocolate ice cream. Yeah.
But anyway, I do want to call that out that the indoor area is no street shoes. You're just like socks or barefoot, and they have it really well ventilated. So that it's not like it doesn't feel like an enclosed space. And everybody, even as crowded as it was, that particular dance room, everybody was very respectful for about that. Like if it looked a little too crowded, people would just be like, "Yeah, wait till it settles down." And everybody was really respectful about the space. I really, I had a great time when Gabriel spun there a couple Sundays ago. It was pretty amazing. Now they do have a patio area, but it does not look like it's covered. So if it's really hot out, then I think you're going to be hitting a lot of direct sunlight. So if
with
you're
a parasol.
On shade, yeah, you may want to.
And so you're talking about COVID safe. People are being respectful in terms of COVID safe and distancing and that kind of thing.
Right, and all that,
right.
and all that, and that's what's coming up for this.
Okay, so what I'm going to invite you to do, Chris, and hopefully you'll be able to get it done before you head down to LA, is just shoot those whatever kind of link or something to those, and I will put those for our listeners that are hearing now or anyone that tunes in this week before this actual weekend happens. You can find links to those dances that Chris talked about below the YouTube. This will be re-watchable on YouTube on my channel. Harmony Gates is my name, and that's my YouTube channel. And so you can search Road Trip to Fairfax, episode 11. And once you get there, when you look at what's being, the description of the podcast itself, that's where we'll put these links. And we'd love to have you, make your comments if you've been here live. That's kind of about over now, but also if you watch this now or if you watch it later, go ahead and tell us what you liked or what you didn't like or what you want more of. Make comments, like it, subscribe if you want to know about these. We're doing them weekly. We're having a lot of fun with them, and we're morphing. It's looks like some educational, some is social and fun, some is like what's happening in the dance scene. And so those are the subjects that what we've woven in. And if there's a particular area you want to hear about or know about in these podcasts, let us know, and we'll see if we can accommodate you. Right, Chris?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Alrighty. So it's time to say hasta, right? Goodbye. Off with yes. Chris has his part down. This is how we sign off. The famous.
Have my half parts locked and loaded.
That's it. Locked and loaded. Boom, boom. And so until next week, we'll see ya. Have a good dance and a good trip. Enjoy LA. See you back here. All right.
Nice.